slept pretty good last night. Then I saw one of those Facebook memories that came up from about 8 years ago when I was in Bali with a whole bunch of friends. I was about 30 kilos lighter. So I'm going for a walk. So just an update on the Commodore. The new windscreen's being fitted this morning. I'm not sure exactly what time. So I'm going for my walk in the hope that no one turns up while I'm not there. There's a fair chance that one day someone would see me walking that I know. Well, someone just tooted and was waving frantically, and I just waved. I don't know who it was, but pretended I did because that would make them feel bad if I didn't know. Just back from my walk, and I only went about 4Ks because I wasn't sure what time this guy's coming to fit the windscreen on the Commodore, so I kind of cut it short. But one of the things I found, I've switched from listening to music to listening to podcasts, and one I found a long time ago because he interviewed Billy West, who does all the voices for like Ren and Stimpy and then Futurama, amongst many others, the M&M commercials, you would have seen them. So I found this guy, it's called the Nerdist Podcast. Chris Harwick, I think, is the host's name. And he's a collector, he's a nerd, hence the name Nerdist. And he gets people who are collectors, musicians, film stars, but he doesn't talk about really he touches on their things, like their main things, but he just has a very natural and awesome way of chatting to people where you really do feel like, and I guess this is the ultimate thing when you're interviewing someone, is to become like a fly on the wall. And he has nailed it. And his podcast is absolutely massive, and it's funny, and it's informative. So I just listened to an episode with James Hetfield and Kirk Hammett from Metallica, and they just sounded so at ease and so good in this interview. And then when that one finished, I listened to, I've only got about halfway through it, Mark Hamill, who is a massive collector. I had no idea, but he's a massive collector of Beatles memorabilia and all kinds of stuff, to the point where he's actually got a whole storage unit just for his collection. And he said he lives in Malibu, and he says he has to drive 90 minutes to go to a garage and look at stuff, and he said that's when you know you have a problem. But it's a great podcast anyway, the Nerdist Podcast. Have a look for it. The people he talks to are fantastic. You don't have to listen to all of them, just he's got that many different people. If you go through it, you will find someone you go, oh, I like that person, I want to have a listen to what they've got to say. Brilliant, awesome, can't recommend it highly enough. Just got a phone call from the windscreen guy. He's running a bit late, and if I had known he would have been running this late, I could have got to work on the brakes.
A few moments later.
New windscreen's going in now. Trick for young players. He has to replace the moulding around the outside of the window because they go brittle with age, they warp. Mine was definitely that way as well, and he said they'll leak if you don't get a new one. Extra $30, so just be wary when you get a new windscreen on a VT, VX, something like that. You're going to have to incur that cost as well. Better to be safe than sorry. You can't use the old one anyway, they're knackered. All right, new windscreen is in. Seriously took him about 10 minutes, I reckon. And this is that moulding that I said that they had to replace. He said they become weak and brittle, and yeah, if you're going to replace a windscreen, you may as well replace that too. All right, it's about 20 past 1, and I've just cracked the nuts on that one. While it's still on the ground. I've chocked the back wheel, got to jack it up. Let's get to work, see how long this takes. Now, the other day when I was talking about, you know, these front tyres not being any good, well, not only are they almost down to the tread indicator there, I said they had some feathering, and you can see that on the outside of the tyre here. That's probably due to a poor wheel alignment or overinflation or underinflation, one of the two. And you can also see the cracks. They're just old tyres. They need to be replaced. Well, having a look at these pads, they're still got plenty of meat on them, but of course you don't use them again because they've been worn to the disc that they were attached to. But nice to know that someone was changing them. And looking at these, I don't think they've ever been machined, but you can see they're very scored. You can feel the imperfections. You can actually feel like a dip. So they probably could be machined, but for the time and effort, just put new ones on. I mean, look at that rust. Look at that. I'll tell you what, getting the bloody caliper bracket off was the hardest part. Unbelievable. Look at that. Fresh, nice, new rotor. But yeah, she needed a bit of WD-40 to loosen it up after a bit. It's 25 to 3, so a little over an hour to do both sides. And that's mainly because I had to do a bit of running backwards and forwards to the shed to get the right size spanner. And also, as I said, a little bit of drama getting off one of the brackets. It was on there good, but thanks to the WD-40, she came off. We're good as new. Oh, I've got to turn that down. That's another thing checked off the list. Radio works. Shout out to Gav, who's on gold this afternoon. Done through a Holden dealership, rather than my mate who's an auto elec. I couldn't catch up with him, and I said, bugger it, I'll ring, I think it was Bohr and Holden in the end, and gave them the VIN, and they gave me the code. So if you've got one of these, and you don't have the code, and you don't have a handbook, then give a Holden dealership a call and say, hey, just got this car, can you help me out? Oh, hello everyone. It's now Thursday, and I completely left the GoPro at home. So we're on the phone now and heading to get new tyres. Great news on that front. A mate of mine's been able to hook me up cheaper than I was anticipating. So that's excellent news, which will free up a bit of the budget for other things, if we need them. It's going in for a roadworthy check tomorrow morning. So once this is done, I'm going to get some wiper blades and check all the bulbs, make sure all the lights and stuff are working properly. I think they are. We've done a preliminary test, but yeah, I just want to make sure like all the headlights and high beams and stuff are working properly. New tyres about to go on, thanks to the guys at Lucas Tyres in Dandenong. They're hooking me up, which is excellent. Alrighty, windscreen wiper refills have been bought. Tyres are done. Plenty of fluid in the washer bottle. I think we're looking pretty good today, people, and it's a glorious day. So I'm going to get home now, fit these wiper blades, and then get back to editing so I can get you a video. Here's a little bit of too much information for you. I thought I had one of those snots in my nose. You know when you breathe in and out, it goes. So I was driving along and I thought I'm going to grab this little snotty bastard. And I grabbed and pulled and I went, ow, that really hurt. Well, it wasn't snot, it was a hair. Look how long that hair is. Came out of my right nostril. A little bit of grey on the end. Are you glad I shared that with you?